PHP is now 29 years old. Can you even imagine how the world looked like in 1995? No Google, no Facebook, no ChatGPT or Copilot. No
AI.
And developers were trying to build websites in C language. Well, at least they didn't have to choose a JavaScript framework. Anyway, to celebrate PHP's 29th birthday, let's dive deep and experience the very first PHP version in history. PHP started as a set of programs written in C known as PHP tools, which stood for Personal Homepage Tools. It was much later, when the project evolved into a true interpreter, that the PHP acronym came to stand for Hypertext Preprocessor. Rasmus Lerdorf, the author of PHP, created and released PHP 1 to the public in June 1995. He may not have realized the impact his project would have on the world of the web development.
Oh I think I like PHP!
Anyway, back then there was no GitHub. In fact, Git itself wouldn't appear for another 10 years. There were no services for open source distribution. Even the term open source didn't exist yet. So the author of PHP first announced his project on the Usenet newsgroup. And if you're not familiar with newsgroups, they were like the Reddit of those days. Rasmus originally created PHP just for himself to simplify managing his personal website and deliver client work faster.
I put together all my common stuff into a C library, hacked it into the NCSA web server, and then added a little templating system on top of that to let me easily call into it. And now it's the first version of PHP.
Oh my goodness!
Let's try running PHP 1 after nearly 30 years.
Okay, let's go.
All versions of PHP, including the earliest ones, can be found at the Museum of PHP. Let's download the very first version and unzip the archive. Even though there aren't many files, there is a README and it has installation instructions. It says that complete instructions supposed to be available on this website, which of course does no longer exist. Okay, let's see the config.h file. It has several macros defined, so let's update the first one. Now we can run the make command, which will compile the 4 CGI programs. At this stage, it's not clear what each program is responsible for. We'll try them out to find out. But we need a CGI web server to make it work. And in 1995, the most popular was NCSA HTTPD, which became the basis for the Apache HTTP server later the same year. We'll do something completely different. We'll implement a very simple CGI web server using modern PHP. But what is CGI? CGI, or Common Gateway Interface, is a standard that allows a web server to pass user requests to external programs for processing and then return the results back to the user. The standard appeared in the early 90s and was popular until the early 2000s. Anyway, let's look at the PHP implementation. I'll do speedrun. You can find the sources by the link in the description if you want to see all the code. So I create a class which takes address and port, and it will have a run function. In this function, we initialize a socket and start listening to incoming connections. Then, in an infinite loop, we handle the requests. We need to parse the request to get URL and body, and then we'll process the request. Basically, for each request, we run an external program, which in our case is PHP 1. And whatever that program prints out, we capture the output and send it back to a user. And that's all we need. Now let's run our CGI server PHP 1 and analyze it. PHPL.CGI is the main program that handles rendering HTML pages, access control, and storing page visit statistics. It expects path to a file as a parameter, so let's create an index.html file and let's try opening it. As you can see, it's pretty much just HTML, but with some info about visits that PHP added at the bottom. Does this have any templating capabilities? Well, sort of. It can render a few built-in variables. For example, there is a version variable, and the syntax is following. So it's pretty much like HTML commands. It can also do a bit of access control. Let's say we want to have a page protected.html, which is only accessible by password. In this case, we can add a file with the same name but ACC extension, and we specify that it's a private page and it requires email and password. And if we go to see the page, after entering the email and password, we can access the content. Another program that comes with PHP 1 is phpf.cgi. It is responsible for processing form data. So let's add a simple feedback form where users can enter their name and message. We need to specify phpf.cgi .form in our action attribute of the form. Now, when we submit the form, the submitted data will be written to a .res file in the forms folder. The other two programs are more for admins. phplmon.cgi is a program for processing logs and displaying page visit statistics, and phplview.cgi provides more detailed statistics on each page. The data is taken from .log files, which are also written by phpl.cgi. And that, my friends, is PHP 1. A small set of tools for controlling access, keeping visitor statistics, and saving web form data. PHP has come a long way, and today it's a great programming language with a mature and vibrant ecosystem. But one thing remains unchanged. PHP is a productivity tool. It is pragmatic and allows delivering results fast. My name is Roman Pronsky. I work for the PHP Foundation, a non-profit organization that develops the PHP language. Hope you liked the video and see you next time.